Hello there, very good morning to you this Saturday morning. How are you? How's your weather? Is it still snowy? Ours hasn't cleared yet. It hasn't snowed anymore, but it's so cold out there. Now we've got lots of you here, so we are live on YouTube and on Facebook at the same time, we're simulcasting. We're going to have a little chat about sewing machine needles, especially for Glynis later on, because she was asking. And we're going to be doing some basic free motion embroidery as well, and making that into a messenger bag. Who have we got then? Lisa Feng. Good morning, our Lisa. Leslie, Kim's in London today. Leslie, she's at home, but she'll be watching. Morning, Sheila and Angela and Geraldine. On Facebook, we have Caroline and Susan and Linda and Pauline. Sorry if I miss anybody. We're getting, there's over 300 of you there on Facebook already. Morning, Helen, Carol, Shirley, Christine, Melissa, Maggie. I do go through all of your comments afterwards. I know I say that every week, but I really do. I've cold in Wisconsin, Nick is in Northern Ireland. I just think it's only polite, isn't it? You've gone to the time and trouble to leave me a message that I at least read them. Sharon's relaxing with a cuppa, lovely. Windy in North Wales. When using Beaucelon bag, says Sam, when I finish it, it goes all wrinkly. How do I stop it, please? I'm not how to go and ring it, just steam it. Steam it with the iron. Does the fabric go wrinkly on the Beaucel? Because I've not had that happen before. But if the actual Beaucel is wrinkly, give it a good old blast of steam, and that should melt the creases away. Morning, Tracy. Hello, Bells from Florida. Hello. Nikki, morning to you. Letty's excited today. No, that's not Maddie's new outfit. She hasn't had a new outfit for a while, actually. I don't know if I should tell you yet, but next year there's going to be a Maddie book, so she's going to have lots of outfits next year. Cold in where are you, Angela? In Corfmullen. Morning, Joella in Florida, and Jean in Ayrshire. Now I could spend all morning doing this. Still very hot in Australia, says Kate. Greetings, Lynette in South Africa. Lois's oven's broken. Everything cooked on top then. Morning, Sarah. Hi, Dee from the USA. Hello from France, Michelle. All right, now I'm going to scroll right down to the bottom, so I will miss a few of those. Oh, Kath, enjoy it, lovely. Right, it's very cold and sunny in Suffolk. So, it'll be about a year or so, though, Lisa. I haven't even started writing that one yet. It's on the list. Now then, before we do anything, I wanted to show you some bundles of fabric that we've got on the website, because this is very new and quite exciting. And this is at the request of one of you, whose name I'm afraid I can't remember, who said, why don't we put together some canvas collections? So we've had these bundled together for you. So you have the beautiful grey feather fabric, and it's a really lovely weight of canvas. If you're bag making, if you're cushion making, for homewares, this is absolutely ideal. It's so pretty, so lovely, non-directional. We're also going to include the dark grey. That's a canvas as well. There's ½ metre of each of these, and you've got ½ metre of the red, which picks up on the red on some of the stems of the feathers there. So that's bundle number 1. They're £17.50. and they are a really lovely quality of both the cottons and the canvases. Would I do anything else? Oh, I'm over there, am I? Which side am I? I've appeared on the wrong side. So that's the first one. Pop you down there. Love these. This is the teal rose, and this one comes to you with a pink canvas. So this is canvas again, the pink canvas, and you've got an orange fabric. Imagine a bag made out of that. I'm going to make a bag out of the feathers later on, and this is all art gallery fabric, so it's really, really lovely quality. So that's bundle number 2. Again, that's £17.50. These are on my Debbie Shaw sewing website. I'm only going to show you these. I'm not going to do a big selly thing. I just wanted to show you what's new. Isn't this one gorgeous? So this is wildflowers. So there's the wildflower fabric, art gallery again. This time you've got a gorgeous dark green canvas. So that's a nice weight of canvas as well. and this one has been bundled with the fuchsia cotton. 1/2 metre of each of those are available. So I just wanted to show you because I was really excited. I only came in last night, put them straight onto the website last night, and there's not a lot left, to be honest. Must get more of those. Catherine's got a pancake pan. Hi from Sandy in New Zealand. Hello down there. What time is it in New Zealand? We're just after 11 o'clock in the morning here. Sunny in Newark in East Sussex. Oh, good. Oh, lovely. We'll get going in just a second then. It's gorgeous fabric, isn't it, Kim? Love it. Morning, Chris. Morning, Denise. Morning, Shirley. Glad you're enjoying it. Right, anyway, that's that. Let's have a chat about needles to start with. I haven't got a wide selection of needles here to show you, but Glenys emailed me and she was saying she's just a bit confused about the different sizes of needles and which ones she should use for what. So there are lots and lots of sewing machine needles out there of different sizes and different strengths and different lengths and different sharpnesses. I wouldn't go and buy all of them. Certainly not as a beginner. So I think if you buy a packet of universal needles in an assortment of sizes, that's going to be fine for most of your projects. If you're going to be sewing through heavy fabric, so maybe if you've got the canvas and you want to put some fusible foam or backing on it or stabilizers, or you're quilting, you may need a denim needle, which is a strong needle. So the needles will come in the same sizes as universal needles. There's just the strength of the shaft of the needle is increased for thicker fabrics. So a denim needle isn't just for denim, or a jeans needle, same thing, it's just a heavier weight of fabric. Morning, Val. Midnight in New Zealand. Oh, you dirty stop out, Sandy. I'm normally in bed by 9 o'clock. And the only other set of needles I would invest in are ballpoint or jersey needles if you're going to be sewing stretch fabric. So as a beginner, an organised store needle, that's a good idea. As a beginner, go for universal unless particularly you're going to be sewing with thick fabrics or stretch fabrics. There are quilting needles and top stitch needles and needles for silk needles and stretch needles and so many different types of needles, but those are the ones that I'd start with. Size wise, you'll have an assortment. Oh, that's nice, Jean. Of sizes, and it's the finer your fabric, the smaller the size, if that makes sense. So your sizes are going to be things like 1180, 1490, 1600. The 1490, the mid-range, is the one that I use most of all. So if you're going to be sewing through very fine or sheer fabric, then go for the 970. If it's a lightweight cotton, go for 1180. 1490 if it's going to be for medium cotton, but I'd stay around the mid-mark size-wise. And the reason you've got the two numbers there, one's imperial and one's metric, so the metric one comes first. So if you've got say an 8011, say, or is it 8012, can't remember. The 80 is actually 0.8 millimeters in thickness. So they changed it to 80s just so you're not having to put 0 point before each one of them. And that was a system that was developed in the 1940s. There you go. Linda, that can happen if you've got the wrong needle. Take into account the thickness of the needle with the fabric that you're using, but also the thickness of the thread that you're using as well. That can cause skipped stitches. If you're using particularly heavy thread, it might be worth investing in a top stitch needle because it has a larger eye. Basically with a needle, the way that it works, it has a groove at the front. So that's your needle. It's got a groove at the front so that when the thread comes down, it goes into the needle before it goes through the eye of the needle, which means that the thread and the needle are both travelling into the fabric at the same time. So if your thread is too thick for the needle, it's going to create a little bit of tension because you'll have two things going into the fabric at the same time instead of going in one, and it can also leave bigger holes, and that can cause skip stitches. So that's when it's worth looking at a needle with a bigger eye or using finer threads. On the opposite, if your thread is very, very fine, so if you're using something like a silk thread and you've got a needle with a large eye, it can become loose. So again, all of this, the way that the thread travels through the machine and travels into the needle actually affects the tension of the thread as it goes through there, so that can cause skip stitches. I think for the most time, I'll answer in just a second, Joan. If you're using a polyester or a polycotton or a cotton thread, such as the Metlers and your Guttermans and the higher quality of threads, then they will be fine with universal needles. I think it's when you start going for specialist or fine fabrics. If you are sewing with jersey, Joan, then yes, do use a ballpoint needle. They're sometimes called jersey needles, they're sometimes called ballpoint needles, and basically they have a rounder tip to the needle. So if there's a very sharp point, that can cut into the knit of the jersey. And you know what it's like when you pull a thread, you get a ladder in a jumper. It's the same thing with the jersey. If you cut into the thread, it can tear it, it can make a little hole there. So use a jersey needle which is rounded at the end, and it parts the fibres of the jersey instead of slicing through it. That can make a difference to skip stitches as well. So yes, do that. Want one to be quality like the school ones, Pauline. A wooden meter. I've got a wooden meter ruler. In fact, I've got a couple of wooden meter rulers, and it is solid, and I got it off Amazon. Hi, Jules. Morning, Kim. Started making bags. Do you need an overlocker to make sure they're sewn properly? You don't need an overlocker. And to be honest, was that Sarah? I don't finish seams on bags normally. I tend to use a smaller stitch because it comes stronger, but I don't tend to finish the seams because I don't think it's necessary. You never see the seams on the inside of a bag anyway, and it's unlike with garments. Bags don't go in the wash every other day, so there's little wear and tear on them, so I don't normally bother. We are making a we're going to do some free motion embroidery in a second, and we're going to do some I'm going to make a little messenger bag. Twin needles, Audrey. Lizzie, there isn't a video for for the wonky houses. They are the secondary projects on my half yard club. Or now then, who was it who was asking about twin needles? Audrey, twin needles, yes. Needle page, no, there isn't, Anne. I must put one of those on the needle page. You don't need a special needle for viscose, Beverly. Oh, twin needles. If you haven't used one before, a twin needle is one shank, two needles coming off it. So you'll have two threads going through your machine. Both of them go through in the same points all the way through until you come to the needles, then you thread them separately. Your needle threader, if you've got one in your machine, won't work with it, and don't use your thread cutter if you've got an automatic thread cutter on your machine with twin needles. Have a practice first. Some machines, if you've got a fancy one, will have a selection button for twin needles, and that will disable any stitches that aren't appropriate, such as buttonhole stitches. You'd never use a twin needle on a buttonhole, but it will also stop the needle from swinging too far from side to side and breaking on the foot. If you don't have one of those feet, if you're using a decorative stitch and a twin needle, test it first by turning the hand wheel towards you, because you imagine the needle's going in from side to side doing a decorative stitch. If it does go too far to one side and hit the side of your foot, it's going to break, and they can be quite expensive. So that's just something to be aware of as well. If you're sewing a stretch fabric, actually with your jersey, that would be a good idea, because a twin needle straight stitch is automatically a stretch stitch, because on the top you're going to get the 2 rows of straight stitches, but underneath your bobbin thread is zigzagging from side to side, which allows it to stretch. Rainy in Devon, morning, Kate. A special foot to do free motion. Yes, you do, Katie. I'll show you that in just a second. Barbara, I've made one of those, and I can't remember where. I think it was on. I think it's on YouTube. Sewing machine cover with a hole in the top for your handle. I'm sure I've got a YouTube tutorial on that. Pamela's got a leaky boiler. We've got no heat in the kitchen. It's freezing. Hello, Elliot. Oh, that's a nice sun, Mandy. Can a seam ripper be sharp and bin it? No, bin it, Julia. Just bin it and get another one. They're not very expensive to buy. I'd keep a few in, to be honest, because seam rippers blunt just like scissors or needles do eventually. Right, are we up to date there? First time. Hi, Pam in Westwood Ho. First time here. Crazy house cushion. Do you want to look at me crazy houses? Let's talk about free motion embroidery. Now, I'm only going to start basically here. That's another book that's coming up in a couple of years. But I wanted to give you a little bit of inspiration to show the kind of things that you can achieve once you get going. This is Layered and Stitch Pictures. It's not one of my books. It's by Katie Essen, but it is beautiful. And these are some of the projects that you're going to be able to make. So it's absolutely stunning. Look at this. It's amazing. I love free motion embroidery. I love doing it. I love the look of it, and particularly with applique. I know free motion embroidery is very often used for quilting. We'll have a chat about that as well. But this is all about scenes and look. But the nice thing about the book is that the patterns are in here as well, which look complicated, but she takes you through step by step how you're going to trace them and how to cut out your fabrics, so you can create some beautiful imagery like this. Isn't it good? Look, I just love it. I find it therapeutic and relaxing and rewarding and really quite simple. So oh, that's just my kind of thing. But I just wanted to show you that, and to let you know that if you are well, no, if you're not a member of the Half Yard Club, anybody, if you wanted to order from the Search Press website, can get 20% off any book at all. So that one, for instance, is £17.99. This is in the UK only, I'm afraid. But if you go to allthewsearchpress.com and place your order there, you need to put a code in when you go to checkout, and that code is DD105. I'll put that on here at the end. You can use twin needles with any machine, Michelle. Oh, Kim, we're summary, aren't we? Yeah, so DD105, when you go to checkout, 20% off. If you spend more than £20, it's P&P free as well. So I just thought I'd mention that, because that is such a lovely book. I was quite excited. So, oh, Amanda can only comment when the screen is small. Ironing board cover Sarah's making. Soon needs the book. Right, that's going cold, so I can go there. This is the kind of free machine embroidery that I like doing. You don't need any particular skill, and you just build it up. I mean, this is outlining basically, sticking bits of felt on, outlining, and then I've kind of hand embroidered some bits and bobs on there as well, but swirls of smoke on the top, and it doesn't have to be exact. What I do like is to go over the stitches 2 or 3 times, because everything's a little bit wonky here. This is one of my wonky street cushions from the Half Yard Club, so it's deliberately wonky, but you find if you go around an outline once and it's wonky, it looks wonky, it looks like a mistake. Whereas if you go around a couple of times or 3 times even, then it starts to look deliberate. So that's the kind of thing that I like doing. So let's start from the very beginning, because that is a very good place to start. These are free motion feet. They'll be different for every sewing machine. So it may look like that. It may have an open toe. It may have a closed toe. It may look like that. But that's the kind of thing. Most of them have springs on. Some of these are adaptable, with different kind of ends that you can put on. But have a look, if you've got one with your sewing machine already, have a look in your manual, and it should explain how to use them and how to fit them. If you don't have one with your sewing machine, then get in touch with your sewing machine manufacturer and ask if they do free motion embroidery feet. Always go for don't go for a universal one, go for the one that is designed to go with your sewing machine. So if you've got a brother sewing machine, go for a brother. This is an Elner, so I've got an Elner, and so on and so forth. You will need to take off the foot that's on here already, so I'm hoping you can see this, because I'm going to have to tip it back a bit. So let's take my screwdriver. Your machine has probably got snap-on feet, so let's take the foot off, and this is the ankle. So the ankle needs to come off as well with a free motion foot. So you need a screwdriver for this one. Some of them you'll take the screw out altogether, and some of them kind of slip around the screw. This one needs to come off altogether. There we go. And where did I put my foot? And this one clips. I'll have to tip that back a second while I just do this, so just bear with me. Oh, just to mention, this bar here needs to go on top of the needle clamp. So then as the needle goes up and down, this bar goes up and down, and the foot hops across your work. So I'll just put this on because it's a bit fiddly, and then show you when I've done it. So I'll do that so you're not seeing the top of my head. Love it when you chat to each other on here. Oh, hi Christine, welcome along on YouTube. It's the first time here. Oh, thank you. Tracy's just got in. Right, let's turn this around here. Okay. So there we are. So the foot is sitting on top of the needle clamp. When I turn the hand wheel, is pushing that spring up and down. Can you see that? And that's what makes it hop. Now, a couple of other things to do is to, if you've got a feed dog facility, take it down. So there's actually a lever at the back of it. Sometimes it's at the back, sometimes it's at the front behind the accessory compartment. On more expensive machines, it'll be right in front of you, but take those away. And just, they're always stiff, those levers are. Teeth go down. Some people don't mind free motion embroidery with the teeth up. I prefer to do it with the teeth down. Now, just because they're out of the way doesn't mean they stop moving. So the next thing to do is to take the stitch length down to 0. And that's going to stop the teeth moving underneath. If you don't have a drop feed facility on your machine, you can either, some machines come with a plastic plate that you can kind of slip over the top of the feet, so they're still moving underneath, but the plastic plate covers them up. I'm not a fan, to be honest. They tend to kind of lift up from the machines that I've used like that before, or just put your stitch width down to 0 again. So your teeth may catch a little bit, but it's not going to damage your fabric or anything like that. So if you have an extension table, use an extension table. To be honest, looked all over the place for mine this morning, can't find it. Sorry, Kim, my daughter's machine. If you are going to be doing a lot of free motion embroidery, invest in some quilting gloves. These have silicone pads on the ends. Some of them are knobbly, and they're double-sided as well, so you can, doesn't matter which hand you put them on, but these give you grip on the machine, on your fabric. It helps the fabric to run smoother underneath the needle. They're well worth the investment. They're not very expensive, but it's well worth getting hold of some of those. You may have seen sliding sheets. These are anti-friction sheets. This one's the Supreme slider, and this, so when you've got your extension table on, this will go over. Make sure you've got the hole right underneath where the needle's going to go, and this reduces friction, and your fabric really does just glide around there. I think that's really, because these are really expensive, it's about £50, but really useful if you're going to be doing a lot of quilting with your free motion. Right, because it helps everything to keep regular, shall we say. One more thing before we sew. Let me just get my fabrics ready. If you're quilting, I've put together a quilt sandwich. So I've got my top fabric, my wadding in the center, and a backing fabric. So if you're quilting, you're going to be quilting through all 3 layers. If you're not quilting, if you're going to be doing some imagery, or like with the cushions behind me, put a stabilizer on the back of your fabric. It'll make a difference. I like to use a tearaway stable, which is this one, and I would separate those, personally, I like to use a little bit of 505 spray to secure it. And this again makes a difference because you're going to be sewing over and over in the same areas, so your fabric can pucker up. So a stabilizer is going to help to stop that. When you finish sewing, then it rips away, so there's nothing left behind the stitches at all, and it's not going to damage the stitches as you do that either. So let's start with that actually. So I'll just put a bit more spray on, that's not quite stuck down enough. Spraying that away from a sewing machine, and it is a spray that's been designed for use with sewing machines, so don't worry about it gunging up your needle. Let's pop that back again. Okay, now to start with, have a think about what you want to do. If it's the first time you've ever done this, I would suggest that you draw something first. So if it's a name, remember you're going to be sewing in a continuous line, so try not to have too many lines. We'll just do a Deb for now. And I'm just using a heat erasable pen for this one. Or you could do shapes. So let's have a heart while we're there as well. And then it may be worth just drawing some lines on your fabric for you to follow. So just to have a play with them, just to see how things look. Then we'll put this underneath the machine. Yes, Dawn, it is good for embroidery, but no, we don't have any on the website at the moment. Bobbin's been playing in the snow outside, Anne. She's still the same, her leg's still a little bit thin, but she's getting better. But she's loving the snow, absolutely loves it. She'll try. Do you not want to be with us? She's on her mum's account. Let's see if we can just do that. Sorry, there's so many comments that I'm missing, so I'm just having a flick through to see. Yes, you can use a zigzag stitch. I shall show you what that looks like in just a second. I think, are we up to date there? Right, and yes, morning everyone. Oh, Gina's first time here, morning. Right, so here we go. I hope you can see what I'm doing here well enough. So take it easy to start with. The idea, now I've disengaged those feed dogs underneath. If I don't move the fabric, it's not going to move, and I'll end up with a big knot. So let's start off here. Oh, need to put my foot down and very slowly move your fabric. Now the key is to be consistent. If I move my fabric very quickly, then I'm going to get a long stitch. If I move my fabric slowly, I'm going to get a shorter stitch. So we want the stitch to be the same length. So just practice. You'll come up with the speed that you want it to be. And you can move your fabric up, down, left, right, in any way that you want to that makes it comfortable for you. If you get to about here and you think, actually, I'm going to turn it around and go back that way, however you feel comfortable. Nobody's going to know when they look at your finished work which way up your fabric was. So entirely up to you. But if I just show you with the stitch length, if I say very quickly move my fabric slowly, I get a tiny stitch. If I move my fabric quickly, I get a longer stitch. So just try and find a speed with both your foot and with your hands that you're comfortable with. So that's tiny, tiny, tiny stitch. That's too small. And that's very, very long stitch. I think that's too loose, a little bit like Goldilocks. And this kind of stitch is around about the right length for what I wanted. So again, just get yourself a bit of scrap paper, scrap fabric, and doodle away until you find a speed that you're happy with. And again, just going in straight lines, following lines, wobbly lines will get you used to doing it. But there's no right or wrong, you know, you're not entering competitions at this level. This is your pleasure. It's like just sitting and sketching. It's a lovely way to relax, I think. Let's try a zigzag. And again, I'm going to test it first just to make sure that my needle isn't going to hit the side. It's not, that's fine. Right. So with a zigzag, this, I'll show you how it looks in just a second. This is great for making a solid line if I go over this a few times, or if I go really, really slow. So that can be the equivalent of a satin stitch. Also, I wonder if I can increase the width on that a little bit with that. Yeah. If I go up and down, I get the solid line. I'll bring this out and show you in just a second. But if I go from side to side, I get a straight line. So if I'm going to do letters and writing, it gives a calligraphy kind of look. Let me just do a circle and show you. So again, just trying to keep this consistent. I can make the sides of that a little bit deeper. I can fill in the gaps. So you can keep building it up. But another thing that this is quite nice for is if you're doing fur on animals, because you can go all over the place with it. And it gives kind of a really furry, jaggedy kind of finish. So again, have a play with that. Have a play with different types of no other stitches, just the zigzag or the straight stitch, but have a play with different types of lines and waves and shapes and letters and things like that. Let's just take you off there. Any machine should do it, yes. Who is that, sorry? Lisa's chatting to Dottie, lovely. It is quite easy, Gina, it's just practice. I think a lot of people are fearful of it. But when you look at things like that book that I showed you, and it does look very complicated. Yeah, Lisa, I'll add you later on, thank you. Oh, hi Ram from India, welcome along. And goodbye. I can't actually get in any closer, Caroline. Let me see if I can zoom a little bit. It's the angle. I can't get the camera any further down at the moment. We are kind of having a bit of a redesign of the studio, so we should be able to do that, but that's about as close as I can get at the moment. So again, with a zigzag stitch, just hold it, just hold your fabric, move it backwards and forwards. Always practice on a spare piece of fabric first of all. Do that anyway before you start any kind of sewing project, just to make sure that the stitches are the right width and all that kind of thing. So again, with a zigzag, if you go from side to side, you get the straight line. If you go up and down, then you get the thicker lines. With a straight stitch, which is what I normally use, just keep your fabric moving at a consistent speed. And don't worry if it's not absolutely perfect. Let me just come out a little bit because we are very close there. Okay. a homemade portable ironing board. My ironing board was on Facebook a few weeks ago. I can't remember the date, but if you go to all my videos on Facebook, then it'll be there. Oh, and then with the tear away stabiliser, which is the one I prefer, literally tears away. It's not going to pull your stitches out or anything like that, literally just pulls away. So that's that. Now if I'm quilting, you've got a few different options here. I'm not going to go into everything in too much detail, but to get your patterns on here, you can either draw, so we could do, just take that off there, a little bit of meandering, which is basically sewing in squiggly lines all over your quilt without crossing over the lines, but again, we're not entering competition, so do we really care? So you can either do it that way. You can buy a stencil, snap-on feet, lovely. So I'm just missing comments again. I do like to keep on top of things. So you can either draw, you can get, you can use a stencil, you could use chalks, you could use I wouldn't use your heat erasable because that can stain fabric, but you can use water erasable or air erasable. Remember, those pens do become permanent if you iron them, so so do be aware of that. Struggle with meandering. The thing is, Elizabeth, if you're quilting for yourself, it doesn't, I don't think it really matters if you are a little bit uneven. I mean, not if you're quilting the quilt, who's going to notice anyway? Or if you cross over the lines, I think that's absolutely fine. Let's have a go at this. So, thank you, Alison. I've forgotten what date it was. D, use something like Bonder web. That's going to stop your fabric from fraying. I'll show you that in just a second. So again, foot down and just move your fabric underneath the needle. And if you are following a stencil, it doesn't really matter if you're not following the line exactly. Let me turn that around a bit so you can actually see it. You can buy, oh, what are they called? Those special sewing machine feet where it goes into the groove of the stencil. But anyway, as a beginner, and that's who we're talking to, this is a great way to get started, so just keep moving. That's quite a common type of quilting design to use, quite traditional. But if you find that difficult, why not go modern? Why not just go up and down and side to side and straight lines and cross them over as much as you want to? I think as long as you're filling in the gaps quite evenly, does it matter? And particularly if your fabric or your patchwork is a geometric design, what's wrong with a bit of squiggly quilting like that? At the beginning of the end, it would be a good idea when you first start sewing to just stop and take the thread through. If you've got a quilt sandwich like this, into the centre, or if you're if this is going to have a backing on it, like the bag flap that I'm going to make, then just pull it through to the back so you don't see it. There's no reason why you couldn't just do squiggly lines across your quilts, or straight lines, or if you've got the patience, you could do the little pebbles and bubbles. And again, you can get templates for all of these, or I'll tell you what I like doing. I don't do so much of the quilting, but I do like to do a little bit of drawing. And again, you get, well, I get quite a naive kind of finish. Again, I like to go around a couple of times. I'll show you this in just a second if you can't see it properly. So backwards and forwards a couple of times. Let's do a leaf at the side. And then maybe a plant pot underneath. That's the kind of thing I like doing, just having a play and a doodle and a scribble. So you don't need to be artistic, you don't need to be perfect, nobody's going to check it. I just think free motion is a wonderful way of having a little bit of fun. Jean's on a phone. Hi Jackie, hi Glenys. Yeah, I think that just a row of flowers just embroidered onto fabric would be lovely. Oh, you've got to have a go, Daryl. It's fun and it's easy and it creates a really lovely effect. Is Lisa back yet? See, oh, Lisa's got all the templates for the feather patterns and things like that. Those are the really traditional quilt patterns. Hi Janice. I don't know what deli paper is. It is easy to glide fabric with a mat on, yes, like the gliding mat. I just think that because they're so expensive, if you're going to be doing a lot of this, yes, buy one. And the same with the gloves, do buy them. I don't have them on the website, I'm afraid, so I'm not pushing you there or anything. But they're worth the investment. If you're just going to have a go, then don't rush out and buy those to start with, because you might not enjoy it. Oh, Zell, how long has that parcel taken to be delivered? Bridget, the gloves are quilting gloves. They've got silicone ends on them, which are grippy, so that helps you to move the fabric around. It's, in fact, without, if I just show you, you may find, particularly as you get in towards the edge of your fabric, that you're doing this to try and move the fabric. The gloves will keep it flat, and it gives you more it gives you grip, so you get a more accurate sewing. Morning from Trinidad. Love watching the videos but never had a go. Or maybe today's the day then. Today's the day we're going to get you sewing. Hi Emma, she's new. It's Nikki's favourite. Helen says she's going to have a go. Lovely. Who else have we got? Oh, and the wax papers. Yes. Lisa, I think... Oh, it's wax. Oh, Lisa. I didn't know that. Wax paper. Yeah, I don't use wax paper a lot, to be honest. I should have a go. Pan books, if you've ordered from me, they are starting to go out. We've got hundreds of them. Not supposed to send them out until the 21st, so don't tell anybody. Hi Linda in Canada. We don't sell quilting gloves at the moment, Nikki, but they're on the shopping list, definitely. Freezer paper, that's the one I was thinking of, freezer paper. Okay, shall we do a project? Let me just put my iron on. So you spray polish on a machine bed? No. If you're going to use spray polish, you can't spray it onto your duster, not onto the machine. We don't want any sprays going on the machine because it's all metal on the inside there, and apart from any chemicals that are in there, it's going to be a bit wet, and we don't want that going rusty. I clean mine with methylated spirits. On a cloth, again, damp cloth, give it a wipe, and if there's any sticky residue from glues or anything like that, it just wipes it away really easily. Should we do a maintenance of your sewing machine at some point? Because there's not a lot you need to do really, but there are things that you should avoid, like blowing into your machine. Never do that, because that again is introducing moisture into the machine, and machines don't like moisture. I mean, you're not going to damage it straight away, but if you do it a lot. Right, first of all, let me show you what I've got here to make my bag, because I've already cut my bits out first of all. So I'm going to use some of that feather bundle that we have on the website, if there's any left. And I haven't measured it, so let me give that a measure for you. So that's going to be the front and the back. And these are coming in at 12 inches by 13. So I'm not putting pockets or anything like that on, so it's going to be quite a basic one. So one for the front, one for the back, and then two pieces for the inside. All the same size. A book cover is a good idea. And then for the flat, you can embroider onto silk. Use a silk needle and some silk thread, Melanie. you're going to be going over the stitches a lot, so you don't want to be leaving holes in your silk. So just make sure you've got a fine silk needle and use silk as your thread for the same reason. Erica cut through tin foil. That helps. Quilting free motion is a form of cheating. No, I don't think it's cheating, Christian. I think it's just a different technique. I like quilting by hand if I've got time, and I love how I love making the stitches all precise and the same length, and I do them one at a time. I can't do that thing where you just put lots of stitches on the needle very well. I like to do all one at a time. It's just a different technique. I don't think it's a cheat at all. It's just different. Freezer paper, you can, yes. So sorry, talking to yourselves again. Okay, and then the flap is, I've put fusible fleece H640 on the wrong sides of the outer pieces and on one side of my flap, and my flap measures 7.5 inches by 10 inches, and I've got two pieces, so one for the outside and one for the other. And then I just cut actually a remaining piece of fabric. I'm not sure how long that is, but it's 4 inches wide. This is for the and I normally make my oops, drop that. My strap's about 30 inches long. I think that's normally a good length for a strap. Oh, do stay with me while I just pick up my underweb, which has just blown on the floor.
Coffee, darling.
Oh, lovely. Thank you very much, dear. Thank you. I have a waiter service on a Saturday morning. Right. Jane, I made a tailor's ham for one of my books, thank you, which was Sewing Room Accessories. And I made them in two different shapes. So I made a long, slim one, like a sleeve one, and the other one had got a square base to it. Just stuff full of sawdust, and the reason I made a square base is because I make a lot of bags and I can push the ham into the bag and press it without pressing the bag flat. That was the idea there. Right, so those are all my bits. The hardware I'm using is going to be a magnetic snap that I've put somewhere, so you can probably see that better than me. Never mind, I've got another one somewhere. And I rather thought, because I've got feathers on the design, that I'm just going to put a feather design across the corner of the flap there, and then free motion stitch it in place. And I'm going to do that in red. So let me just cut a piece of my red a little bit smaller, because I don't need it this big. Sarah, aren't we lucky? Having these chaps come and keep us refreshed. Hello, Patty from the Gulf Coast of Alabama. Wow. I think you're a first, Patty. I don't think we've had a Gulf Coast of Alabama before. So I'm using Heat and Bond, which is a fusible adhesive, and that glues onto the wrong side of my fabric. If you haven't seen this before, it's got like a shiny side, that's the glue, and a matte side. So the glue melts onto the back of your fabric. So don't use steam with it, doesn't need it. Although I've got a bit coming out here. And just make sure that's nice and flat. And try not to iron it onto your ironing board because it's very sticky as well. So let me just cut around this. Save that for another project, and then just iron this up to the edge. Hello, Holly in Missouri. And hello, Ornella. Oh, from Brussels. Don't you have a lovely name? Okay, so that's that. What kind of bird have you got? That's Mare. All I have is a bird, and he was not happy when I woke him up early today. Hi Judith. Hi Lois in Florida. Right. So I'm just going to hand draw a feather on here. I know it's around about the right size if I keep it in that kind of area, but draw on the paper at the back, and be aware that when you're drawing on the back it's going to be reverse imaged when you cut it out. She's got a cockatiel. Oh, how lovely. So let's do a, that's kind of feathery, isn't it? So that's that bit there, and then I'll keep it quite a bold outline. That's not standing out very much on there, is it? Let me find another pen. Oh, there it is. There was one in my pocket. Bear with me. That'll do. Oh no, it won't. That'll do. So I'm only going to cut the outline out, but I just want to get the general shape of a feather. Does that look feathery? Might look a bit leafy. You could, let's do one that way, like that, like that. You could, of course, if you're not good at drawing, which it seems I'm not today, just download a free clip art picture off the internet. Oh, Bobbin came in and went out again then before I could even introduce you to her. And then we'll cut this one out. Let me just get my old scissors. Janet's just got me transferred from a phone using a portal, got you on my TV screen. Ooh, look how technical you are. Chilly and damp in Cornwall. Chilly here, but it's quite nice. I would say it's fresh when it's like this, and then they could say, "Oh, you mean it's freezing?" Then no, it's fresh. I think it's quite. I should be going out with Bobbin later on because she loves the snow so much, and it's just so nice when your cheeks go all pink and your nose is red. You need warm shoes on though. I've actually got my fur-lined welly boots on. I've got them on now actually. Nothing worse than cold feet, but if your feet are warm, then love it in this kind of weather. Okay, that's going to have quite a fine stalk. Could be a leaf, could be a feather, who knows. Sunny and fresh in Essex. Let's cut this one out. So I was driving to the office the other day, which is in Bedfordshire, and I saw a black squirrel at the side of the road. So when I got to work I googled it, and apparently it's that there are a few around that area. Has anybody else ever seen one? I was telling my oldest lad about it. He's an ecologist, and he said, "Oh, aren't they just indigenous to Canada?" So apparently not. They've got them in Bedfordshire. My husband said, "Was it a cat?" So I know the difference between a squirrel and a cat. It actually sat at the side of the road for quite a while, so I could get a good look at it. Not long enough to take a photo, but it was really quite exciting. Anyway, what? 27 parrots? Oh, how wonderful. Rescue macaws, African greys, Amazons, quakers, cockatiels. Oh, do you know, I love birds. They've got so much character, haven't they? Anything from chickens and ducks to the sparrows and the robins we've got in the garden. Oh, I'm making a messenger bag, but it's all about, this is Judith, it's all about the free motion. I'm using my old scissors. These were my fabric scissors, but then I got a new favourite. So these have now become my old scissors, so they're the ones that I use with paper. See, lots of black squirrels in Bedfordshire. I didn't even know it was a thing. I'd never seen one before. Black squirrels in Central Park, and had them in Toronto, and grey ones. Oh, I didn't know that. See, and I thought I'd discovered something really rare. Okay, so I've got the paper on the back, and the easiest way to get that off is to give it a scratch in the centre and peel it away. And you can tell that the glue's transferred because I've now got the shiny bit here. So that's not sticky or anything at the moment. So let's take this one off and do that. Red, I've never seen a red squirrel. And that's in Formby. Wow. Okay, so I'm going to put these about there, so at a little jaunty angle, but not too close to the edge, because I am going to, of course, make a seam around there, and the top is going to go into the bag. So let's keep them quite close to the bottom, and then we'll re-iron this in place, like so. Lots of red squirrels in Maine in the USA. Oh, actually we used to get squirrels in the garden, just grey ones. I haven't seen those for a long time. Nigel's knitted a hedgehog and a fox, because it doesn't have any animals. Just cooling that down a little bit, it does get very hot. Right, and then we're going to embroider over the top. So I'm embroidering in black, so it's really going to stand out. So I'm on a straight stitch. Put my gloves on. Black squirrels in Cambridge. Oh, a baby red squirrel. Oh, how lovely. Maureen's Spring Wonky House. I've just finished that one. That's coming out next month on the Half Yard Club. Right, here we go. Let's do this. So, again, I'm just going to start at the side. Do a few stitches. The end of my thread's disappeared inside, so that's fine. Let's see where I'm going. So I'm just going to spin this around and just follow the edge. And the question we had about stopping fabric fraying, it would take an awful lot for this fabric to spray. Now it's got the Bondo web on the back. Yeah, let's spin it around and come back down this way. And I'm going to go around again. Work out the way that you prefer. I prefer to see where I'm going, if you see what I mean. So I like the bulk of my fabric in front of me. And again, I like to go around a couple of times, because I like to give it that scribbly kind of look. If you need to stop, then do actually stop, as opposed to slow down. So if you need to kind of get your bearings, then actually stop. Because if you slow down, your stitches are just going to become longer. I think that will do. Let's go around this one. So it doesn't matter if you're going left, right, up, down, backwards, forwards. You decide the speed that you're happy at. Don't worry if you miss a bit. Don't worry if your stitches aren't perfectly straight. I think it gives a very kind of organic, free flow, freehand, scribbly kind of look. So backwards, forwards, up, down. I find it easy that way. You can, of course, be very, very precise. If you really take your time and you wanted the stitches to be all exactly the same distance from the edge of your applique, that's up to you. Let's do a little bit down the middle of this one as well. So I've got that, and that I'm quite happy with. So you could do a little bit more. Just got a thread to snip off there, but I think that's going to be absolutely fine. Okay, so we'll take this foot off, put the standard foot back on, and we'll do a bit of sewing. So only my screwdriver again. Drop this one off. Hello, Carol in New York. Saw her first squirrel a few days ago, black squirrels. That's 12 o'clock. Gosh, it's gone quickly this morning. The gloves though give you a little bit of grip on the fabric. It just makes it easier to embroider with. Thank you, Harriet. Welcome along. Nice to have your company from the Netherlands. You do need a free motion foot, Shirley. It's really fun. I tend to go through phases. Since I was doing the next Wonky Street cushion, I've just gone crazy free motioning everything. Right, I'm going to change my thread to red for this one. My sewing machine, Leah, is an Elna. It's an Elna 570. It's a nice little machine. It's actually my daughter's machine. So you go in there, you go in there. They're quilter's gloves, Julie. I don't have any on the website, but I'm sure you can find them on Amazon and the like. And it's on YouTube right now, live. So yes, it will be there later on as well. The videos stay here on Facebook and on YouTube at the same time. Hello, Lilibel in New York. And who is in Massachusetts? Sarah, red, black and grey squirrels. Right, so I'm going to right sides together, so the two pieces of the flap. So put my stitching back to a regular one. Put the feed dogs back up again, Deborah. When you do that, by the way, if you have dropped your feed dogs, on most machines, when you put them back up again, they don't automatically pop up. They'll come up when you sew your first stitch. So don't worry that your machine's broken. So I'm using the edge of my foot as a guide, so it's just over 1/4 of an inch for the seam allowance. And I'm sewing around the bottom 3 sides of the bag, of the flap, sorry. And then we'll turn this the right side out. Let's snip off these corners. Tammy, I've not seen scrubby Poundland gloves, but it sounds okay. Hello, Lonna in Northern California. Oh, I wouldn't try free motion without a foot. Whoops, personally. I'd worry a little bit that my hands were going to get too close to the needle. It seems a bit dangerous, that. But the foot helps to keep your fabric flat as well, because it hops across the fabric as you're sewing. I just pushed out those corners. Let's give this a press. And then I'm just going to top stitch around the edge, again in red thread, because I think it looks nice. Hello, Denise in Illinois, and Oddlog, is that in Norway? Hello to you too. That would be, Ashraf, that's difficult to do without a pattern. Dresses, so I won't be doing that one, I'm afraid. Right. So I'm going to top stitch just around those bottom 3 sides because I think it looks nice. So I'll lengthen the stitch up to, well, let's go 3.5, because I don't need the stitch to be short on this one. And stop in the corner. I think top stitching is a nice finishing touch as well. Adds a bit of professionalism to your work. And particularly when it's in a contrasting colour. Sandra, the fabric's on the website. Hi Sherry in Michigan. Right, let's put this together. This is going to be really quick actually. Now we've got the feathers stroke leaves out of the way. With my long strap, I'm just going to sew all the way around the edge of this one. Oh, you can't see comments on TV? Didn't know that. So literally, I'm just going to sew all around the edge. Again in the red because I think it looks nice. This is a fast little machine, but on occasions like this I wish it was faster. So do bear with me while I'm sewing in straight lines. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. Hello Patty in Italy. Oh, thanks Shirley. Oh, just to mention next week, I'm aiming to be here at 11 o'clock, but it is the Creative Craft Show live all day next Saturday, and I'm doing a demo of a reverse applique messenger bag at 10 o'clock, so I'm hoping to get it done within the hour. I shall let you know. That's on Facebook next week, so if I'm not here bang on 11 o'clock, that's why. Right, so that's that. Now we're going to sew the two outer pieces right sides together around the bottom three sides. So stitch length back to normal, and again I'm just using the edge of my foot. Gardening gloves is a good idea, as long as you've not been gardening in them. Got coffee going cold there. So straight across the bottom. Really simple bags these, and you can make them in any size you like. Like so. Tumble dryer sheet underneath might be an idea. Anybody used a tumble dryer sheet to help your fabric glide? Not tried that one. Alright. Then I'm going to make the base square, but only a little bit. So let's open out the side seams and the base seam. So one sits on top of the other like so. I'm going to squish the seams from one side to the other. Now measure this if you wanted to, but I'm just going to sew about an inch from the point, not from the end of the fabric, but from that point straight across here. If you want to make that really accurate, then use your measuring guides on your feet. So where would that be? About there. And that's it. So if that's at your 45-degree angle on your ruler, and then you can sew, can you see? Oh, that's gone out of focus. And then sew straight across the bottom, across there would be the way to do it. But I've done a few of these, so you kind of get the hang of it without measuring after a while. So again, squish the seams in opposite directions and sew straight across, like so. And I'm just going to find my scissors and chop that off. And the same with the other side. And again, seams, I'm not bothered about them being pressed open, but pressed in opposite directions works fine. Do you know how many people we've got on YouTube? I can't actually see from here. I can see we've got 633 on Facebook. Right, let's fold you out. Crafternoon, Sarah. Just bought a brand new Janome. Can't seem to get a straight stitch straight. Ever so slightly uneven. Try, Lisa, changing the brand of thread that you're using. Try changing your needle. It may be something as simple as that. So there's my flap. So I want my flap to be sewn right sides together to the back of the bag, like that. Front and back of the bag. Oh, I didn't put the magnetic snap, look at me. I need to put a magnetic snap on there. No, I haven't even found them. I've lost them again. Oh, there we go. Not the end of the world if you're busy chatting away to people all over the world. 329 on YouTube. Thank you, Lynn and Lynette and Maury. We're getting busier and busier on YouTube every week, which is wonderful. Right, let's measure the centre point of the back of the flap. So that's now 9 inches, so that'll be here. If you haven't fitted one of these before, you've got a thin bit and a fat bit. Thin bit goes on the flap, fat bit goes, that's the magnet, the thicker bit, that goes on your bag. You'll also have these backs. So I'm going to put the hole in the middle over the mark that I've just made in the centre of my flap and make a little mark each side like so. That's about 1 inch from the edge. Then I'm going to take a quick unpick or a very sharp, I've got a quick unpick, have I got one? Yes, I have. And just through the lining section, I'm going to make a little hole. And make the hole little, because you can always make a little hole bigger. If you have a big hole, you have a big hole. So my head's really in the way there, isn't it? Right, so let's push that through the 2 little holes here like so. Whoops, that one needs to be a little bit bigger. So that goes in there. And then the back like that, and squish them out. I've actually got these on my website. These are the 18 mil ones, Mari, if you can't find them. So that's on there. That I'm going to put on afterwards. So again, let's right sides together. Pop this in the middle. I'm going to put a couple of clips in there. You can measure and mark this to make sure that it's exactly central if you wish, but I'm not going to today. Like so. And then I'm sewing straight across the top, really close to the edge. So this is just like a tack-in or a basting stitch, just to hold the flap in place. So within the seam allowance. Like so. And now I'm going to measure where the second half of that's going to go. So let's make sure that's in the centre, so the seams are on each side. Fold the flap out. I'm not going to make it too tight. So I'm leaving a little bit at the side here because I have got a depth to the bag, so I don't want it to pull over too tight. And then I can mark under here exactly where the second half of the clasp is going to be. So make sure that's in the centre, that's fine. So just like before, let's take the back of the snap, mark the 2 lines each side, take your quick unpick and straight through the fabric and the fleece we're going to make 2 small holes, push that through and pop the back on. Like so. Sarah, this is my new fabric on the website, fabric bundles. So I'll just make sure that closes like that. And then we'll have Viv, I can't remember where I got these from. I think Clover actually gave these to me. They are a little bit thin. I don't use them very often, but I haven't got my thick ones with me. I'd normally have the medium size ones. That's going to be facing in here. I'm not putting any hardware on the handle. Make sure that's not twisted at all. And the second side goes facing downwards on the opposite side here. And I'll sew those in place. Like so. And Christine's had a fabric delivery, lovely. So again, let's just sew across that side there. Right. But I trust some of my coffees in as it was made specially. So you can actually see what the bag's going to look like now. Let's put the lining in. So just in the same way as I did the outside of the bag, let's have these two pieces right sides together if you have one. These don't really have a right side. And we're going to sew around the bottom three sides like we did before and square off the base like I did on the outside. Thank you, Maury. I think it was from, where's that from? Oh, I think it was somewhere like New Look or somewhere where you don't expect to find cups. Hi Deborah, first live today. We're doing a long one today, Deborah. I'm normally here for an hour, so you'd miss me normally. I need to leave a turning gap in the bottom here, so don't forget to do that. So just reverse stitch and snip, and then same on the second side. So I'd love a coffee machine in my studio. I drink an awful lot of coffee in the mornings, but it's all decaf, so that's okay. But it's quite nice to have a warm coffee when it's freezing like this. It's just rather cold here. I came down, because I'm at the bottom of my garden basically, in a little studio. So I came down yesterday to put the heater on, ready for today, and the door was frozen. Couldn't open the door at all. So with the help of a hammer and some boiling water, eventually managed to get in. So I'm just squaring the base off like I did on the outside. Sharon Kim's watching. She's in London today, so she's watching from home. I think she'd pop up on YouTube and say hello. Deborah's having warm sausage rolls. Oh, thank you, Kim. Right, and we'll cut off those corners like I did with the outside. And then we're going to, with the flap facing down, drop the whole of the outside of the bag inside the lining with the right sides together. So my lining's inside out and my bag's the right side out. So let's push this inside here. No, I'm not in a brick building, it's a wooden one. Sarah. Right. It's like a summer house, but it was I had it specifically built to do this kind of thing. And so I'm just lining up the sides here, and then I'm going to sew all the way around the top. There isn't a pattern, Tammy. All of that, just take this off. All of the measurements and everything, I'll put those, excuse me, I'll put those on YouTube in the video description. But all of your instructions and everything are in the video, so no pattern for this one. But the video will always be there on YouTube, so don't worry about that. So again, literally just sewing all the way around the top. So I'm migrating here, aren't I? I'm just sliding off my set. Yes, I used H640, Jane, for this one. Bosal foam would have been nice as well, but this is what I had to hand. So fabric's a little bit thick now. This is where I'm sewing over the flap at the back. Just keep that nice and flat. Yeah, Audrey, when it's warm in here, it smells like a sauna. It's amazing. And it doesn't actually take very much to heat up. But it's just the journey down here. We've got rather a long garden, and it's ice at the moment. We've used up all of our salt. So it's just, we kind of skate all the way down here. I tell you I should have a sledge with a long rope and Gary can just pull me in when I've finished. Kath's in her PJs? It certainly is allowed on a Saturday afternoon, Kath. Huh? Oh, Paula, that's a thought. A smart, I don't know, you could do that. Oh, have a look at that. Nigel wants a sausage roll. Okay, so that's that. And then we're going to turn the whole thing, the right side out, through the hole in the bottom of my lining. A train in the garden, imagine. A bobbin chugging around the garden all day. Yes, Tammy, you can actually buy, I was going to make one actually for the Half Yard Club, but I haven't got around to it yet. You can make a little pad, and there's, I don't know what it's called, but you can buy like non-slip mesh, and put that underneath it and stops your foot pedal slipping around. I've never sewn through my finger, Kate. I've given it a nasty bash when I've caught it underneath the needle clamp, but I've never actually sewn through a finger. Heather's in a nightie in bed. It's the afternoon, Heather. Angie Bobbin's doing great. She's still a bit limpy. I think it's going to take a while, but we're going out for walks off the lead now and everything, and she's doing really well. Doesn't seem to bother her, but she should build up the strength in the leg a little bit more. So she's on the arthritis pills now, as well as the painkillers. Arthritis at 4 years old. It's a shame, isn't it? Right, so that's the hole in the bottom sewn closed. Thanks, Elaine. Hi, Carol in Melbourne. She said, you're allowed to be in bed. It must be middle of the night over there. A cushioned shelf liner. That's a good idea. A sink mat. Yeah, rubbery mesh stuff. I didn't know they were called sink mats. Does Bobbin miss barking at the window? Oh, she'll be there barking at the window anyway. She frightens people to death. Right, so I've pushed the lining inside. I'm now going to top stitch all the way around. It's quite a nice effect to leave a border of the lining, but I'm not going to on this one because it kind of interferes with the handles and the flap. So I'm going to pull that down and just top stitch around here. So we'll have the accessory compartment off here again. Hi, Lisa in Pennsylvania. All right, so let's start at the side here. Lengthen the stitch again, so I'm going up to a 30. Sorry, a 3.5. Let's go for it. So pull the strap up, and then I'm just going to roll this so that the seam sits on the top. And so, actually I don't want a little tiny bit of it showing if it really wants to. Might look quite nice. So coming up to the second strap here. I want the flap to be up as I'm going around this bit. So over the strap, and then I'll stop and just pull that so the lining's flat on the inside and there's no puckering up of the fabric underneath there. So always stop with the needle down when you're doing this. It does make a lovely bag, doesn't it, Sarah? And it's it feels nice as well because it's the canvas, so it's a nice weight. Cut that little bit off there. And then we are back to the beginning. So let's pop that back on there. I don't even think it needs ironing, to be honest. I think that's worked quite well. I'll pop that in there in just a second. Let's see who's over here. I like a big quilt. I even use my big quilting ruler for very small projects. Apple cider vinegar and honey every day. Oh, what was that for? I missed that one. Right, just pushing that in there. Keep it nice and flat. That folds over there. And that's my bag finished. So have a look on that one. So that lines up there, nicely top stitched around the inside again. Loose, can't stand loose threads. There we go, snip those off there to make it nice and neat. That there. Feather design on the front, and we're all done. So I'll put all of the measurements and the description underneath the video on YouTube. So if you want to go back and make it and you don't want to sit and follow the whole thing, your measurements will be there and your ingredients and materials and all that kind of thing already. Pat's having a bacon sandwich. Elizabeth, this is it's actually a fabric bundle that I have on my website. So if you have a look on debbieshawsewing.com, this is the grey feather bundle, and it's a bundle of 1/2 metre of the grey fabric and the feather fabric. Those are both canvas, and 1/2 metre of the cotton fabric as well. And you could probably make 3 bags like that out of it, to be honest. There's a lot of fabric there. Bonus Des, Sophia. Thank you, Eleanor. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Lisa. Good day from Manchester. Hi, Maynette. A lovely name. Thanks, Alex. Okay, so I am going to see you again if you want to pop over to my website on debbieshawsewing.com live on Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock. Don't know what we're doing this week. I don't think we decided. We'll be making another small project anyhow there. Piping is a good idea. Shall we do piping on Wednesday? We could do pipe. We'll do something with piping on Wednesday. Mind you, I did that. The cushion. That was on one of the live. Oh, that was on one. No, I can't do piping. I've already done it. That's on my website. When you go onto the website, on the home page, there's a video there, like a big video, will be the last one that we did. And then underneath that video are all of the other videos with thumbnails as well. So when you see the picture of that one, if you click on it, I did make that one live. Oh, hello, Carmen in Venezuela. Can you catch up on the website for preview? You can, Lisa. The lives on the website are always on the website, and on Facebook and on YouTube now as well. We're on both of them on Saturday morning, and they will stay there as well. The ones on my website, apparently you can't see if you're on a phone. I don't know why. I think it plays the most recent one, but you can't see all of the other ones underneath. But we're looking into that. Okay, so I shall see you again on Wednesday if you're free at 2 o'clock in the afternoon UK time. Otherwise, I shall be here again next Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. Remember, next Saturday is going to be the crafting live. That's the 20th. So if I'm a few minutes late, then I shall give you warning. But if you see the Debbie will be with you soon for longer than expected, that's because I'm trying to finish off broadcasting on one Facebook platform and then swapping over to another one. So do bear with me. And I shall see you again next Saturday. I shall let you know in advance what we're going to be doing. All right then. Well, it's been lovely to have your company today. So off you go do a bit of sewing. Hopefully you've been a little bit inspired. Maybe free motion embroidery is something you're going to do for the first time. So you go and enjoy it. And most of all, you take care of yourself. I'll see you again very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.